All right, so we got to talk about this Mexico thing because the last video that we recorded talking about this situation in Mexico where they are taxing all the scuba divers that come through in all these different airports has been interesting. In only 24 hours, I've received a bunch of different private messages and emails from people, not just from Mexico, but other places. And I want to take an opportunity to kind of give you an update on what has been happening, because there is one consistent piece of feedback that I want to address, which may get even messier, okay? Because I don't really know how you're going to get around this thing. Like, I don't even know how to tackle it. So I'm just going to talk unfiltered, unedited. If you're watching this, will be like us just sitting at a bar somewhere and we're just talking about this Mexico situation because still doesn't make sense. Now, I will remind you that this is just my opinion on it. This is not even Woody's opinion or Dive Talk's opinion. This is just mine, Gus's opinion in this topic. And if you enjoy that, or if you hate that, subscribe to Dive Talk Plus, because there's more coming. This is not the end of the Mexican situation with customs and this arbitrary enforcement of professional equipment. This doesn't make any sense. And once again, there were some comments that were left behind and some messages that were left behind, but all within the same vein. Number one, there was one that I think is ridiculous, which is, oh, you're a borderline racist. Every video that you make about Mexico, there's this like racism embedded into it. No, criticizing government and corrupt officials is not racist. This happens everywhere. I've mentioned multiple times that I grew up in South America, where I don't think I ever met a government employee that wasn't corrupt. There was never a way not to like pay under the table and speed up your process and get preferential treatment, get them to look away. Like, this is prevalent everywhere, not just Venezuela or Mexico. This is not racist. This is just the way it works. And it works that way because government employees are not paid well enough to not accept bribes in order to do their jobs. Now, that's horrible to say, but this is a reality everywhere. And if you are going to come back and be like, actually, I live in Guatemala and here that doesn't happen, you're delusional. You're out of your mind. All right? This happens everywhere. Maybe not in Singapore, where they would chop your head off if you're a corrupt official, but in most countries, this is a reality. So no, I'm just going to come out of the right off the back and say that if you think this is a racist thing, you're out of your mind. This is just common sense, okay? It has nothing to do with race. This happens everywhere. But the one I want to address is, well, two things. Number one, people mentioned the Carnet thing. So I mentioned in the video that if you want to potentially avoid paying taxes on your gear that you're bringing into Mexico, there's this loophole, this thing called the Carnet, the ATA Carnet, and I showed some screenshots of it where you can apply, you can provide information about all your gear, and hopefully the official that is at the customs in Cozumel or whatever it is will take that and let you through. That Carnet costs $400. So basically what you're doing is you're paying for this thing, and hopefully they'll accept it. So the minimum you will pay to be able to dive with your gear, again, you're not a professional making money, taking jobs, whatever. You're just bringing your gear to your dive destination to dive for a week or whatever and go back home, is $400. And again, that is assuming the person on the other side accepts it, which the same website where you applied for it says this is up to the officer to accept the validity of this thing or not. And even if they do, it only lasts for a year. So if you like going to Mexico every year, get ready to pay at least $400 or more if they deem that your gear is worth more than that and tax you on it. So again, if you are in Mexico and you're especially in the dive industry and you're telling people, no, don't worry about it, that doesn't happen, you are either misinforming or you're just delusional. You live in an alternate universe where this is not happening, because this is definitely happening. But by far, the most common thing, the most common feedback that I received is, this isn't about you being a diver or whatever is about being professionals. It's not even about merchandise. They're not even trying to stop you from coming in with merchandise that you're planning to sell. It's more about you coming and making money as a professional and not paying taxes. So I want to tackle that, and I will kind of dedicate the vast majority of this episode to that point, because I want to talk to you in the comments. And I've been leaving, by the way, and this is why it's important to subscribe and come back and check in the comments. I've been leaving responses in audio. There's a new feature of YouTube which I really enjoy. It makes it more personal. I read your comments, and sometimes if it's too much to type or if I'm on the move or whatever, I will leave a response via audio. So go through the comments and check them out, because some of them will be audio from me directly. That way you know who's typing or who's responding to you. But I'll just read one of the comments, one of the sample comments of the many that were left on the original video, because we need to talk about this. And I want to get your thoughts on this. Again, you will be considered a racist, apparently, according to some people in the comments, that if you criticize anything in Mexico, you're racist. Anyway, so this is a comment from Elena. I just picked this one. Elena says, I don't think the issue is corruption or scuba particularly. It's not even a merchandise issue. It's professional, in all caps. Professional film photographers and influencers in the vacation destinations not declaring their actual professional equipment that they do in fact run business with. All right, let's break this up, because I absolutely have no idea how you can make sense of this if you're in fact planning on taxing professionals that are coming to your country to do their jobs with their equipment. And specifically, Elena said, this is not about scuba in particular. So let's just spread this up to anyone, anybody making content or work in any capacity with their equipment. So if you own a sailboat and you decided to retire early, you sold your company for $10 million, and you bought a sailboat and you just want to sail the world and make content and have that video that you posted on YouTube generate enough ad revenue to keep financing your adventures around the world. Well, apparently, according to Elena and others, it's not just Elena, it's a lot of people left the same comment. You will owe taxes. All right, because you're making content in Mexico. How dare you film that coconut tree or whatever in Mexico and make a dime out of it? You owe the coconut tree some taxes. It's insane. So let's go beyond that. Okay, so if we break this down and we say that, well, if you're doing work in Mexico, then you should be paying taxes in Mexico for the work that you're doing in Mexico. Well, how far are you taking this? Because for me, I'll admit it, maybe I'm admitting to breaking international law here, along with thousands or millions of people that have done this. I have done work in Mexico. Why? Because I'm out there traveling and I get a work email on my phone and I'm responding to it. I am technically working while I'm in Mexico. So do I owe taxes for that email that I just sent? I have actually had, oh my God, I hope nobody's watching, Zoom calls while I'm in Mexico and I'm supposed to be on vacation in a pool drinking a margarita. I've had to be on a call for work because something happened with a customer or whatever, and I have to, in an emergency or not, plan, I don't keep track of it, have to hop on a business call while I'm in Mexico with my professional equipment because my laptop is worth more than $500, and I've had to do work. So do I owe taxes now to Mexico because I had a work call while I was in Mexico? It's nonsense. This notion that because you're doing something professional in Mexico, you have to pay Mexico, it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Now, you can say that, well, because they're recording content in Mexico, then the work that you're doing is really not, I know you're in Mexico and you're being a professional with professional gear in Mexico, but that you're not really doing work in Mexico. It's not like, you see how messy this gets right off the bat? Like, what if I am editing videos, so I'm doing work in Mexico, but the content that I'm editing was not recorded in Mexico, but I'm in Mexico while I'm editing the videos because I just film editing and recording for the day, but I'm trying to catch up from videos that are recorded back at home. Do I owe money for that because I'm using my professional computer to edit the videos? Like, how does that work? What if you are a musician and you're making a music video to promote your music. So you're not getting paid for the video, but you are getting paid when you go perform. So you're in Mexico, you're a new reggae artist, you went to the beaches in Tulum or Cancun, and I don't know, you should have done it in Jamaica now that I think of it, but whatever, let's say you're over there, you recorded your video of your song, whatever, you post it on YouTube, now people are buying your songs and your albums. Do you owe Mexico taxes if you did that? What if your video was shot in multiple countries? You shot 10 seconds of your song in Mexico, 10 seconds in Jamaica, 10 seconds in the Bahamas and whatever. And like music videos, they travel all over the world. Do you owe taxes everywhere you went because you were shooting on location? No. There's a reason why there are local permits, filming permits that you pay for in order to film. You then don't owe taxes on top of that. Now, it's debatable to say that if you're filming a video and that video is a commercial video, like a music video, then you should get a video permit to record. If Jonathan Bird, which several people kind of attack, like, oh, if Jonathan Bird is recording for his channel, then he should owe taxes. If Jonathan Bird is filming a documentary in Socorro, which is an island off of Mexico, then he should, if needed, because not everywhere needs a filming permit to film, if needed, which I know he does, he gets a filming permit, pays for the permit, and that's it. He shouldn't have to pay taxes on gear that he uses to film the content, which is then he's going to take home. This is not merchandise that he's planning to sell or leave in Mexico. He's not making money off of that. He's making money eventually, hopefully a lot of it, from making a highly successful and entertaining video or documentary that he then puts out and people benefit from being entertained by it. He deserves to make money. Why are we talking about like, oh, making money some evil thing? What? Now, what if the video that I'm making as a content creator is not monetized? I decide not to monetize it. Should Mexico then make no money then? Like, I went to Mexico, I recorded this video of diving in the cenotes, I make it non-monetized. I'm making $0. So will Mexico then make no money? What if that video that I made is so awesome, then Netflix approaches me and gives me a $10 million contract to make a show about cenotes or make a show about caves somewhere else? Should Mexico then get money because the video I made in Mexico that wasn't monetized then got me a brand deal or a Netflix documentary? Like, where does this end? It's complete and absolute nonsense to expect that anyone working in any professional capacity, whether it's video making, whether it's making music, whether it's sailing through Mexico, what if I'm a painter and I go to Mexico and I'm inspired by being at the beach to paint this amazing portrait of a beach in Mexico, and that portrait is now worth $100,000? Do I owe Mexico anything for the painting that I did just because I was inspired by a beach in Mexico where I went? What if I saw the picture on Google? If you say yes to that question, if you say yes, absolutely you should owe Mexico because you were inspired. What if I saw a picture in Google? I live in Austria and I'm an artist and I'm just going through Google on a rabbit hole of beautiful beaches around the world, and I'm now inspired by a beach that I saw in Mexico. I owe Mexico money because I was like, what are you talking about? Guys, this makes no sense to me. And if you disagree, comment below. Let's talk about it. I'm happy to record another video in response to the feedback. Expecting pros like content creators to pay just because they're filming in your country is absolutely ludicrous and dumb, in my opinion. Because if I'm Bonaire, let's just pick somewhere else, because again, they're going to call me racist because I'm talking about Mexico. If I'm Bonaire and I know that Mr. Beast is coming to Bonaire to record a video at Salt Pier, which is a famous dive spot in Bonaire, I will be high-fiving everyone. Because in that situation, everyone wins. When you have a content creator coming to your country like Bonaire and recording that, and that beautiful video that comes out of it goes out to millions of people, the content creator who created the actual video will benefit because a lot of people are going to see the beautiful location they went and, you know, how much fun they had and all that stuff, which means corporations then will pay YouTube, assuming that you're posting on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, Instagram, etc. The corporations will pay YouTube to run ads on those videos, and that money, half of it, at least in the case of YouTube, will go to the content creator. So they will benefit with money from going to Bonaire, bringing all their equipment, you know, paying hotels and all those expenses to go and do these things. They will benefit from that. Bonaire benefits from the advertisement to millions of people. Now this free marketing to millions of people to come and dive the salt pier. You can see these color changing squid or whatever it is, cephalopods that swim around salt pier that are beautiful. They get the tourism to come. The local hotels, restaurants, dive operators, truck rental places, all of those people, dive shops benefit from the influx of tourists. So Bonaire benefits from that. And the tourists themselves are spending the money on a quality dive location like Salt Pier in Bonaire. Literally everyone wins from this business model. The business model Mexico is implementing on taxing professional equipment, anything worth more than $500, only benefits corrupt politicians and I guess any other corrupt official paying under the table to allow you to pass through with that equipment. No one else benefits there. No one else. It's a horrible business model. It's going to kill their industry. And if that's what they were going for, so be it. Don't go to Mexico. What if the videos that you shoot make no money? What if you spend $10,000 to go to Mexico and your ad revenue is $1,000? Do you have to pay taxes on top of that even though you lost money? How do you tax that? So I understand if you made $1 million, you can say, you know, sit on your throne of, you know, I am flawless. I pay what is owed and, you know, I follow the rules. Okay, cool. You made $1 million. You should pay taxes on that. Let's say you agree on that. What if you lose $1 million? What if you lose money? You have to pay Mexico there? Or are you going to be like, well, yeah, you should pay no matter what. That's your fault that you made that. That's the problem here. The people that are making this content are taking the risk. Every time we go anywhere and invest money to go somewhere and shoot it, you have no idea if it's going to be a hit. Every movie you watch, like, they get a budget. They could completely miss it. It could flop, or it could make a ton of money. You have no idea. So how do you tax that? The money that they make on that? What if I go to Mexico and I record a podcast? No video involved, but I am in Mexico. And I brought my professional gear and I recorded audio only. How do you tax that? Or you shouldn't tax that because it's just audio only. How do you deal with that? Should you not tax the cameras because the cameras are not going to be used since it's audio only? But what if I use the camera audio to come up with the podcast, but I don't use the video? See what I mean? It just gets messy really fast. What if your video is about crossing the border? You decided to cross from Mexico into Guatemala or from Mexico into Belize, and you're documenting this. And in your video, you cross the border, and half of the video is in Mexico, half of the video is in Guatemala. Who do you owe taxes to? Both of them? Half and half? Or only Mexico because you initiated there, or Guatemala because you ended there? What are we doing here? What if while I'm in that country shooting a video, I get invited by another country to go and film? Let's say I go to Boot Show in Germany and I'm shooting a boat show, telling people how awesome it is, and somebody from Malta spots me and they are like, hey man, I love your videos. You should come to Malta and record a video, and we'll pay you to do that. We'll pay you whatever amount to come to Malta and dive and record a video for Dive Talk. Do I owe Germany the money that I got because Malta, the guy from Malta saw me in Germany while I was filming in Germany? Or do I owe Malta the money? But they invited me. And by the same token, shouldn't that be the same in Mexico? If a resort in Mexico who has a dive operation says, hey, Gus, I love Dive Talk. Come here and shoot a video about our dive operation. We'll pay for your flights. We'll lodging, everything. We won't pay you money to record the video, but we'll cover your cost. Do I have to pay taxes in my camera because I'm coming to promote a business in Mexico, even if I'm not getting paid? And even if I was getting paid, do I pay taxes on my equipment? Will you say yes? What if I don't shoot with a camera, but I shoot using my cell phone? There are big channels out there like Marquez Brownlee channel. I think it's called, what's it called? Autofocus, where he shoots videos of cars. He's doing reviews of cars. He started the channel on YouTube with his iPhone, and he made it a point that he wants to show people that you can have a successful YouTube channel with the equipment you carry. You don't have to buy super expensive cameras and audio equipment. He's doing awesome with autofocus, shooting with an iPhone. So if I shoot with my iPhone, is that now considered professional? Because I'm recording this professional video? How do you enforce that? Are you going to ask every person coming with a phone, hey, what are your plans to shoot with this phone? Are you even using it as a camera? What if you change your mind while you're there? Like at the meetup, we had people that weren't taking classes, and as soon as the classes started, they're like, I changed my mind. I want to take that deep diving class or whatever. So what if you're on site? I just went for a vacation, but they spotted me and, oh, now that you're here, will you shoot a video for us and promote it on Dive Talk? So when I came into the airport, I didn't know I was going to do it, but now I changed my mind and I'm now shooting a video. Do I go back and tell them, hey, actually, I'm in a professional Like, what are we doing? Guys, this is insanity. This whole notion that you have to pay because you're coming here to record in our waters, and this will be applicable to anybody. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy and you want to fly, you're a martial arts content creator and you want to fly because there's a tournament in Mexico City and you want to film it and put it on your channel, do you now owe taxes on that? Like, it's absolute insanity. Now, I also, by the same token, don't agree that if you are coming in a capacity to make money, like let's say you were hired by a hotel and you get the permit to work, meaning you legally go to Mexico to work. You get a work visa, just like you can get a work visa for other countries, and you make 10,000 pesos to 100,000 pesos, whatever it is for that work, then you should pay taxes on that because you're there to work. You're filing taxes locally for the money that you earn while working locally, and you should pay taxes on that. I have no problem with that. That is all legal. But this notion that, oh, I'm going to come in and, just shoot a video for YouTube, I need to pay, I owe Mexico the money that I'm going to make in revenue from the video. How do you do that? How do you calculate that? The revenue can come from all kinds of places. It can come over time too. When you post a video on YouTube, we still have videos that we released 3 years ago. They make $1 or $2 a month because some people watch it, whatever, even years later. So am I just paying Mexico forever and ever and ever as long as those videos are online? It's just nonsense, guys. Just drop it off. This is stupid. It's not an argument. This idea that you are going to have to pay because you're coming to film, you're being a professional filmmaker or whatever, that's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I think that you should, be aware of filming permits if needed and pay for those. And get any permits that you want, even if they're free. In a lot of places, you need a permit and it doesn't cost anything. You just have to have it. In the U.S., for example, if you want to dive in some of those caves in Florida where Eagle's Nest is, like those parks, you need a permit to do that. And it's a free permit, but you have to apply for it. So in a lot of places, if you need to film or whatever, I always research the laws. Can I bring a drone? Do I have to pay for a permit? Like, I always do it, but not everyone else does it. So people may be breaking the rules unknowingly, but once you pay for those permits, that's it. You shouldn't be taxing anyone from bringing a camera or a cell phone or a dive computer or whatever to dive in your country and film something. And this is not just Mexico, it's everywhere else. Ultimately, we can sit here and debate all day whether it's right or wrong or how much people be taxed or not or whatever. The only country doing this right now is Mexico. That's it. You cannot argue with that. You can't argue with the fact that there's a ton of hoops and there are, like I said, posts out there that teach you how to blend in. Don't use Pelican cases. Pack your stuff in different, bags. Don't have it all together where they open a bag and it's all your dive equipment. No. You should stash your regulator. And by the way, take it apart. Put first stage in one bag, second stage in another bag, a computer here, the straps in another bag. Like, what? No, I shouldn't be... I shouldn't have to get a PhD on packing like I'm not a diver just so I can get through without paying taxes on gear that I own and I'm not selling. All right? Only Mexico is doing that, so stay away from Mexico. By the same token, don't go to Mexico and start filming everywhere without a permit. If you're supposed to have a permit, don't be filming kids, for example, without the permission of their parents, written permission from parents. For example, if you're at a touristy destination like those pyramids or whatever, and you're shooting for your YouTube channel, don't be filming strangers. I think it's, even if it's a public place and you're allowed to do it, just don't do it. Don't film people, right? There are privacy laws you must be aware of, and keep them in mind when you're shooting content. But other than that, this whole notion that, because you're working while you're in Mexico, you should pay taxes, that's stupid. Everybody travels everywhere, and with remote work, you're always working. You're always on your phone, replying emails, making phone calls, whatever. The notion that because you're in here and you're doing work, you owe something. Like, what if you're a wedding photographer? You're having a wedding in Mexico, and you're in the U.S., you're a photographer, and somebody hires your company in the U.S., a couple from the U.S. hires your company in the U.S. for you to come to Mexico and take pictures. These pictures are not commercial. They're not for sale. They're for them to document their day, their private event. You take their pictures, deliver it to them privately, not for sale. Now what? You owe taxes on that? What if you say yes? Let's say yes. You say yes because you're coming to work in Mexico, even if you're a U.S. company, even if they're a U.S. Couple, even if you're getting paid in the U.S. and the contracts are in the U.S. because you're flying to Mexico, you should pay taxes on that. What if I don't charge them? What if they're my friends and I'm a photographer and I'm going to do it for free because I love you guys? I'm going to bring all my equipment and do it for free. Do I pay taxes on that? Taxes on what? I'm charging zero. Taxes on my equipment because I'm shooting pictures, but they're not for sale. I'm not even selling it I'm not selling it commercially, and I'm not selling it to the couple. Why am I paying taxes on this stuff? You see what I mean? It's just nonsense. Forget it. Drop it off or accept the consequences. People are going to stop coming to Mexico, and I feel terrible for my friends who are in the dive industry, which, by the way, some of them reached out to me and said, I'm afraid to say what you said. You're right about that, but I can't say it because they'll kick me out. They'll deport me. I don't know what's going to happen if I tell people to stop coming to Mexico. I agree. And I don't know what's going to happen to me. Are they going to stop me at the border because I'm somehow slandering Mexico? Like, no. Just sharing facts and stories from people that are going there and suffering from the absurdity of these laws, and the enforcement is nonsense. If I'm going to be penalized for it, then so be it. But this is Dive Talk. We talk about diving. These rules happen to affect divers, but they also happen to affect a bunch of other people. And for those people who are like, this is just a direct response to the U.S. government tariffs. Tariffs are taxes, whether you agree or not. We're not debating whether tariffs are the right thing. But tariffs are taxes on imports. You're bringing something from China or Mexico or Venezuela, whatever it is, you charge extra 50%, 100%, 1,000%, I don't care, depending on what it is. You're charging extra for things coming in the country as cargo. That's what a tariff is. And then that's passed to the people buying it locally. This is not that. These aren't tariffs. We're not importing anything. These are literally a scheme. This is robbery. They're charging you for something you're not planning. It's not commercial. You're not planning it to bring it into the country or selling it into the country. This is not tariffs at all. And it's not related to the government, because if it was, then foreigners wouldn't be taxed. It would be just American. We're retaliating against America because America is the one putting these tariffs in Mexico or whatever it is. I don't even know the tariffs that we're putting in Mexico at this moment or whatever. What I know is this stuff has been happening, especially in Cabo, for years before these tariffs, if there are any, are in effect. And they're targeting everyone, not just Americans. So your idea of tell that to Donald Trump is nonsense. This is affecting everyone. It's not about tariffs. It's about robbery. Straight up corruption in Mexico and everywhere else. This is not just about Mexico. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if this is the first video that you're watching, I talked about Mexico yesterday, and I'm going to leave it right here. Go check it out. Hopefully we get to do more videos of this because I enjoy talking about diving. Doesn't always have to be people dying in caves like we do on our main channel, which, by the way, go check it out. If you want to learn about accidents and all of that and lessons learned from that, subscribe to Dive Talk. But this is Dive Talk Plus. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.